Good afternoon, Santa Clarita, and everyone else streaming around the world. You're listening to a special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. We're going to be talking about how to move through your grief in a powerful way. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, transformational life coach. And joining me in studio today, we have Sharon Brubaker. She's a certified grief recovery specialist from A Time to Heal. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Alex, I'm so excited to be here. I hope that we can give everyone at least a little nugget of what they need to help them pass their pain this week.
Absolutely, for sure. And we also have Erin Acquaviva. She is going to be joining us in a few minutes in studio. She's one of the survivors from the Las Vegas shooting we had. Someone was telling me it went down like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
It's 37 days exactly.
Oh my God. In my mind, it literally feels like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And one of my sister-in-laws was in Vegas. She was actually she was involved in the shooting as well, but she was there this weekend for the memorial. I guess they had a memorial, and she was there, and she was sharing how cathartic it was, and it was part of moving through her journey, like we talk about.
Yeah.
And she said it was kind of like closing a chapter, a certain page, or certain chapter. She recognizes that there's more work to do, but it was very healing for her.
I can imagine being there with other people that don't know exactly what you experience and don't know exactly what you're going through, but having them understand what a broken heart feels like, the energy that it gave to that room, and then that they gave to each other.
Yeah.
Holding the space, like we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. She said it was, very powerful to be around all of those that were there, and just hearing the stories and being a part of that group was very powerful for her.
Yeah.
We also have in studio joining us is a woman named Lisa Ochoa, who was also at the Route 91 event in Las Vegas with her daughter Abby. Both of them are here in studio. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time to share your story with us.
Great. Thank you for having us.
So tell us a little bit about your experience, and because we don't know what it was like to be there and feeling the fear and all those kinds of things that were coming up for you. What was it like?
Well, exactly. Terrifying is the best way. My daughter and I, it was our third night. We went for her 15th birthday. She turned 15 just 3 days before, and the last night there were so many amazing artists and that we wanted to be up front and center to see, and that was her whole thing the whole weekend. I want to get close, and we're like, all right, Sunday we're going to make it happen. We're going to get up as close as possible and keep weaseling our way in, be front and center for Jason Aldean. So we were, I'd say 15 feet from the front right of the stage, and maybe 6 feet from the barricade where the catwalk was. And all of a sudden we're hearing something. We're trying to figure out what it is. Is it fireworks? Is it gunfire? Is it the speaker making a funky noise? And Jason runs off the stage, and all of a sudden everyone just hunkers down, and I lay my kind of hover over my daughter as best as I can, and she starts yelling to call my husband. And luckily I had my phone with me, and I sent him 3 texts. I just didn't know if the text would go through. I was having problems with my phone all weekend. I didn't even know if he was still there. I knew he planned on leaving early, and I sent 3 separate texts. I said, help, 911, and gunfire. And a minute later, I'm usually not this emotional, and I tell this, as soon as I sent that to someone, I kept saying, it's not real, it's not real, it's not, like my brain wouldn't allow it to be real, even though I'm still covering my daughter, and someone yells out that someone was been shot just feet away from us. It's real, it's real. So I start yelling out, bury her, bury her, bury her. And this kid, 21 years old, lays on top of my daughter, and she's in the fetal position on the ground, and we're so close together we can't run. So my only thought was, bury her. She's 15. So this guy lays on top of her, and everyone else just kind of molds around my baby. She's buried. Okay, she's safe. And then a second later, someone else yells out, just arm's length away, he's been shot, help, help, he's been shot. And all we're doing is just, we're not moving, we're not doing anything, and I'm a nurse. So I go into nurse mode and say, I'm a nurse, I need help. I need help, who's been shot? And people literally lift me, and I crawl over to people, and I see this young man shot in the chest, lifeless. And people are frantic. He's like laid out on top of others who are sitting and hunkered down and trying to lift him. And I just stood up on top of people and grabbed his legs, and I helped him with others to get him over the barricade while I'm running through in my head best and worst case scenario for this gentleman, and what does he need right now? And I decided to start chest compressions. But at the same time I saw him, I realized this is bigger than me. I can't help anyone here except for my daughter. I need to get back to her. So there I am starting compressions and thinking, oh my God, I need to not be here. I need to be with my daughter. And someone else comes over ready and takes over compressions. And I don't think I spoke with anyone. I looked him in the eye, and then I just hopped back over the barricade and walked on top of people in my cowboy boots to get back to my daughter, and just laid on top of everyone so I can hold her hand. And the crazy part is, we find out, like you said, 37 days, we start piecing together stories, and Abby was talking with the guy that was laying on top of her and coming up with a plan. We're going to run. The next break in gunfire, we're going to run. And they're discussing what they're going to do. Luckily, I made it back within seconds of them actually running, so I was able to go with them. And when we were finally able to get our feet on the ground, we ran. His name is Jake, who's laid on top of her. He stayed with us. He helped her over barricades. We protected her again during more gunfire, and we ran. And she can run. And my whole focus was just don't lose my daughter, because I can't run as fast as her. And luckily, my husband got my text. He didn't know what they meant. He didn't know what was going on. We were staying far up the strip, and he's like, I guess I'm going to figure it out. And he's like, regardless, I'm going to go and get my family and bring them home. And we were able to contact him again, and we just started walking. And told him, I'm like, I'm gonna walk all the way back to the hotel. I'll check in with you with where our location is. Along the way, we picked up another Jake. The first Jake found out that his father stayed behind, and he wanted to turn around and go back. And we grabbed him, like, no, you can't. And he's all upset, and so we're trying to help him, and he falls onto his knees, and then another Jake comes over, and he lifts us up, and anyone injured? Okay, let's go. And he was just like that extra little oomph we needed to keep moving, and we had a very strong little pack with us, the four of us, to keep moving. And, probably about 5 minutes after we found the second Jake, my husband pulled up alongside the road and hopped in back to our room, and we kept the two guys with us most of the night, one all night long, and the other guy was picked up by family friends. And luckily we found out that everyone that all of us came with were safe and were okay. So
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for that. So it sounds like you guys were right in the middle of it. You were right there, center stage, in the front, where you saw a lot of the videos where people they immediately went down once they realized what was going on.
Yes.
And people were literally climbing over each other.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we couldn't move for probably 90% of the gunfire was just being rained down on top of us. And, if I stuck my hand out and spun around, the majority of the people were shot. We're starting to find people, and literally just a hand's reach away, people are dead or injured. That was just right where we're at. And it's just amazing. It's a miracle that we weren't the little group that we were with. We made it out.
Abby, is there anything you want to share regarding that story? Like what's missing from you in that story that you really want to just get out?
A lot of it, like when she left to go help the guide, like, and do compressions on him, like, I knew that, like, she was like going to help somebody, which I understood. But then I was like, Jake was on top of me, and I'm very like, don't touch me if I don't know you. Like, why? Like, and the whole time it didn't feel real. I was like, there's no way that this is happening. Like, just like it's not real. And so Jake was on top of me, and I started like hitting his shoulder. I was like, get off me, like don't touch me. And then he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, it's okay, you're safe. I'm gonna protect you. And I was like, I don't even know who you are. And then he told me his name, so I told him my name. And then he asked, he's like, do you trust me? And I was like, I don't know you. And he's like, you don't have to, but do you trust me? And so I was like, okay, yeah. And he's like, okay, next time it happens, like, we're going to run. And I was like, he's like, there's going to be a break. He's going to reload, and we're going to run. And I was like, where? And he's like, I don't care. I'm just going to lift you up, and you're just going to run. And I was like, okay. And so we ran to, like, the barricades. And I was shaking, so Jake just, like, without hesitating, lifted me over. And, like, right on the other side, there was just somebody, like, a woman who'd been shot in, like, the shoulder. And, like, you just, like, saw the blood everywhere. And then somebody was, like, putting pressure on her. And, like, at that moment, like, it just, like it really, like, there was just no way that it could be happening. Like, it looked like a movie. And so, it looked like my mom went over with us, and it looked like she went down to help her, but she didn't. And then I was just standing above everybody when the shooting started again. And then my mom and Jake both, like, threw me down. And I was just looking out, and I saw, like, 3 people get shot and fall. And it's just, like, crazy. Like, I just wanted, like, and then leaving, when we ran back, like, when it stopped again and we were running out, there was a girl and her friend, and one of them had been shot in the leg, and they were both, like, clearly drunk, and so they weren't able to, like, really help each other out. And so they were falling and, like, holding onto a fence, and so I helped them, like, not fall, and I was trying to, like, lead them out, but Jake just grabbed my arm, and he was like, we have to go. And I think, like, that's what I'm struggling with the most, because there was, like, so many people that I, like, just wanted to help. And it's not like I can do much, because, like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm not a nurse, I don't have training or anything like that, but I could, like, apply pressure to wounds, or I could, like tie something off, so I, like, the, like, circulation and everything, like, I don't know, like, I just wanted to stay and, like, help everybody else.
Did you have a sense of feeling guilty for not helping?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I think that's just, like, what I'm kind of struggling with the most, because it still doesn't feel real to me. Like, it still just looks like a movie. Like, some parts are starting to feel real. Like, once we got out and we were running, like, that part seems more real. But, like, when we were in there, like, the entire time, I remember every single detail, but it just doesn't, like, it just didn't happen. Like, my brain can't, like, comprehend it and really understand
So what
it.
do you want to share about that,
Well,
Sharon?
first of all, about it not feeling real is, from my experience of loss from myself in the past, is that it doesn't feel real. Like, little bits will seep in at a time, because we weren't programmed to understand the full magnitude of what really happened. And if the full magnitude of what truly happened were to hit you at one time, you would really literally be laying out. So we are designed so that little bits of the reality will seep in at a time, just because we're just between our heart and our brain, we're just trying to figure it out. So absolutely.
It's almost like the shock in our body, in our processing system kicks in,
Yeah.
so that we don't absorb all of it.
Yeah.
Like a protective mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the losses that I have experienced in my past is my nephew died, drowned when he was 10. And it was so unreal. And you walk around like you're almost numb. And that's what happens. You're literally numb. You're walking through the motions of life, but you're not really feeling life. You're not really living, right? So little bits were just seeping in at a time, and it would become, okay, this really happened, and then I could accept that part. You describe it perfectly. The second thing is we talk a lot about the word guilt. I think a lot of people use that word as an umbrella for a lot of emotions, right? And we as grief recovery specialists know that the definition of guilt is with intent to deceive or do harm. So I would have to ask you, when you saw the ladies holding up against the fence, did you intend to deceive them or do harm to them by not helping them?
No.
No, right. So mostly our answer would be no. And so in that case, we look at, okay, let's look at the emotions that we truly did have. I felt really sad for them. My heart hurts for them that they didn't have the comprehension to help themselves. I wish I could have stayed I'm just throwing things out. You have to fill in with your own words. I'm just throwing ideas out that could possibly fit, but guilt is not one of those. We have seen a lot of first responders like yourself that are really struggling with not being able to be there to actually absolutely help. And we know that we talked about last week that we have this innate fight or flight response that's going to happen. And I'm just speaking as a mom, right? You had to do your mama work. You had to get that baby out of there. And was your job.
That's what I keep reminding Abby, because, like I said, when I saw the guy shot in the chest, that's when I made the decision. No one else matters.
Yeah.
Just get her out. And I saw her look at those girls and want to help. And I was like, you're 15. You're my baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going to go. We're going to keep moving. I'm not going to look at anybody else. I'm just going to get her out. That was what's most important.
Yeah, and I'm responsible for you, and we got to get going.
Yeah, and her dad would probably kill me if anything happened to her. I kept thinking of him too.
And I don't want to fix the situation of what you're feeling or try to go into your brain and try and fix it, but what really happened here in your heart.
Yes.
And so I just hear your story, and as another mother, it just touches my heart. We don't know what we would do if we were there.
Yeah.
Each and every one of us
Yeah.
would make a different decision.
Yeah. I mean, if you want it replayed in your head, you knew what our outcome would be. It'd be like, oh, we saw so many people on the ground. We could have picked them up and ran with them and helped those girls and helped this, but I didn't know if I was going to get my daughter out. So, like I said, at that moment, nothing else matters. I did find out 6 days later that the gentleman I was doing compressions on is alive. And I just spoke with his fiance this morning, and he's in rehab. He has a long recovery, but he's alive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What an amazing story.
Yeah, and
So
partly
cool.
because you contributed
Yeah.
for that brief time
Right?
and helped out. And it's what an amazing story of just everybody contributing. It just, it turned, average, ordinary people into heroes, where everyone just realized that, okay, we're in this together. We're going to have to figure out how to support each other.
Exactly. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And, and I put more pieces together. The reason he was shot, the gentleman shot in the chest, he stepped in front of a few ladies and his fiance and yelling at them to get down. And then he took the bullet for them. Well, then when I was going to find out who was shot, apparently I handed my phone over to someone so I could help him. I don't remember that part. And I helped him and never thought about my phone again. And then I found out the next day that I handed my phone over to one of the ladies that he was covering and protecting. So it's like this, they're grateful to him, they're grateful to me, like we're all just grateful for each other. And I'm thankful that she kept my phone. Like, it's such a simple little thing. I can get another one, but she would actually, when people call and text, family and friends are so worried about me, she tried to reach out and answer as many people as she could when she found out that I was safe. And it's like, and charged it. Like, it's little things, but like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's such a big stressor removed from me. So
It was
Go ahead.
It was a jewel that you get to take away from that event.
Exactly.
And sometimes when we're in those situations, we have to look for those things,
Yeah.
to help, sugarcoat it just a little bit to soften the blow.
And that's what, the first 2 weeks was difficult, but I've been trying to look more at the positive and, remember the good times. When we found the second Jake right before that, we ran to a covered parking lot, and that's when I realized I didn't have my phone. I don't remember handing it off. And then first Jake's like, my phone's gonna die, and Abby goes, don't worry, I got this. And she pulls out of her back pocket her little flip phone. Yes, she has a flip phone. And I will have her have a flip phone forever. It's the best thing ever. The battery doesn't die. You can step on it. It doesn't break. So she was able to reach out to my husband and, let him make contact. Where it's like if we didn't have that, then we'd be running around trying to find people and say, okay, what next? But I still crack up with her, like, full composure, big smile on her face. Exactly. It's like a full production of this flipping the phone. I got this. Flip phone, guys. Flip phone.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of Healing from Las Vegas, how to move through your grief in a powerful way, right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253 Food. That's 253 FOOD.
Oh,
Hi, Kirk Stinson here with Plumbing by Kirk, your hometown plumber. I want to stress to you how important it is to get proper advice on what to do in case of emergencies. Always know where your shutoff valves are to be able to isolate it and have the problem taken care of on regular hours and avoid expensive plumbing bill.
We invite you to visit our website for free plumbing advice at plumbingbykirk.com or give us a call, 263-6519. That's 263-6519.
My dad is the best plumber ever. Plumbing by Kirk.
Coming soon to the Canyon Santa Clarita, Jen Blossoms, Eddie Money, Chris Christopherson, Timothy B. Schmidt, Petula Clark, Tower of Power, Berlin, Todd Rundgren, Jefferson Starship, John Hyatt, The Spinners, Doc In, Lynch Mod, English Beat, Sinbad, Cinderella's Tom Kiefer, Ricky Lee Jones, Ambrosia, Donovan Frankenreiter, Boogie Nights, and many more. Soulful Sunday brunch every Sunday, country nights on Wednesdays, and they're the perfect place to host your holiday parties and special events. The Canyon Santa Clarita, where music meets the soul. Tickets available through Ticketmaster.
There's a very good reason Gilbertson and LeCornu have been voted Santa Clarita's #1 orthodontist for 8 years in a row.
There's a lot of orthodontists in our community and a lot of really great doctors.
Dr. Megan LeCornu.
Artistically, I like nice big smiles. Those are the smiles that wow people. So in all my treatment planning, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. I look at the patient's facial structure and I match their smile to their facial structure.
Dr. Megan LeCornu of Gilbertson and LeCornu.
Embrace your smile.
EmbraceYourSmile.com.
KHTS.
And welcome back to Healing from Las Vegas. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, hanging out with Sharon Brubaker. We have also Erin Acquaviva joining us, and we have Lisa Ochoa and her daughter Abby. Erin, Lisa, and Abby, you guys were at the Las Vegas mass shooting, which apparently was, now I'm being told it was 5 weeks ago, which seems like it was yesterday. Tell me a little bit about your healing process. What has it looked like for each one of you? Like some people say it feels like a roller coaster. Some people say it feels like it's just going like they're just kind of numb, or some people are in the front, still stuck in the front stages. Some people can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I know a lot of times, Sharon, you talk about it's just no matter where you're at, it's all perfect. It's part of your process, and everyone grieves in different ways. But I'm just curious to know from your guys' perspective, where are you? Where do you feel like you're at, if you can describe that?
Well, mentally from the beginning, I felt like first the numb. I don't really know how I feel. I don't know how I'm processing this. And I've had an interesting ride. I ended up getting very sick as soon as it happened. By Wednesday, I felt like I was just real run down, the Wednesday following, and thought I was getting a cold. And by Friday, I was in urgent care with an asthma attack, bronchitis, and I spent 2 weeks on high-dose steroids in and out of the ER and urgent care because I couldn't get my breathing under control. And then as soon as I started feeling better with that, I became extremely weak. My entire body, all at work, all I have to do is sit at a desk and use a computer, but I couldn't lift my arms to type. that was concerning, just a tiny bit. I mean, I had to push myself. I couldn't hold my 2-year-old. I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk with you guys. Even though my breathing's getting better, I don't feel like I'm sick, but I physically couldn't lift my own body. I got in to see a neurologist and discussing everything and what's been going on and my past and this and that, and we decided, and I was thinking that it's related to the stress from this. He took me off work, and I think being taken off work, there was a lot of other stressors in my life that I've been trying to figure out. So taking me off work alleviated a lot of those, and about a week and a half after we've been taken off work, I feel good again. I definitely am working on building my strength up, but I don't feel like I'm constantly carrying weights in my arms. I am seeing a therapist, but I think now that I'm physically doing well, I feel like I'm doing well in my head as well. But I've also taken on giving back to the survivors and trying to make myself, it's always on my mind, so I try to pay attention to the positive things that can come out of this, and even the positive moments that were happening while we were there, and trying to talk about the positive instead of dwelling on my actions and my daughter's actions and what actually was going on.
So it sounds like it's definitely a day-by-day journey that you're in, or a process where you're helping yourself pick your pieces back up and move forward every day. What to me was, as she was sharing that, it reminded me of how powerful our mind is.
Yes.
And it sounds like it appeared to be a physical thing, but it was more stemming from a psychological.
Absolutely,
source.
absolutely. So we know for a fact that grievers can experience a reduced concentration, roller coaster of emotions, disruptive sleep patterns. There are numerous things that we can affect our bodies, right? Also, just it is not uncommon for someone to go through some symptoms just like you just described, or others, migraines,
Yes.
other things that can start happening to them, right? The one thing I want to talk about is that grief happens here. It happens in our heart. Our heart is broken, and the experience that we had, there's all these things that we need to say about it and complete. That's unfinished emotional business to that event, and that's where working through the grief in our heart is different than working through our intellectual emotion that may be incomplete, right? So even just that short time that the young man, the story that you told us about the young man that got shot in the chest, you had a relationship with him from the moment you became aware that he was
Yes.
shot. And then you said, I'm a nurse. That's when your relationship started. So from that moment till they passed him over the wall, you did the compressions and you left, there's still a portion of just that portion that needs to be completed, because
Yes.
there's unresolved emotional things that need to be said there. And that's when I talk about completion, that's what I talk about, is her really walking the steps of being able to complete with him. And that's a lot of what we do in grief recovery, is look at the areas where you're incomplete and then go back into your heart. Could be something like, I'm sorry I didn't stay longer. I wish I had stayed longer.
Yes. I just, I messaged his fiance today. She responded, and I said, a part of me feels responsible for him still. And I asked her, what can I help you with through the holidays? They're going to be out of state. He has 2 children. Like, what can I do? Because physically we're healthy over here. And I feel like I'm a helper. I'm a helper by nature, I'm a nurse. I mean, I'm a nurse because I'm a helper, and that's just who I am.
A nurturer.
I'm a nurturer.
Yeah.
So, yes, I come exactly what you said is how I feel about that gentleman that was shot. And I found out he's a deputy. My husband's a deputy. My whole family are cops. So it's like he's just that much more connected. And
Well, you all walked that journey together, and you became soul brothers and sisters.
Yeah, connected.
Yes.
You're connected.
One moment in time, we all became connected, and there's like hundreds of stories, even after people got to safety in some of the hotels. I mean, I'm hearing stories of people in linen closets to maids' quarters to were bunkered down in, the lobby. And so there's so many different stories of people that just became bonded in that moment.
Right. And the other thing that I would throw out is that unresolved grief, when it's not taken care of and properly taken care of and completed, is cumulative. So if this situation is not taken care of, it will add, it will grow and attach, and it's negatively cumulative. So it will keep growing. And you could get past it, absolutely, 100%. But we also know that grievers 20 years after an incident, 30 years, it will come back up and creep back into their life. So it's so awesome when you're able to be able to walk through the process and complete an area.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your completion, Erin. Where were you at in that process?
Well, I was just telling Lisa on the ride over here, I feel like I'm coming out of the fog. Like my completion, if it's not here, it's close. Mm-hmm. So I'm at that place where I can tell a story and not be too, it'll always be emotional for me. When Lisa, when you were sharing your story, I was just right outside the door and I felt myself getting choked up, especially in attachment to your baby as a mother. There's still going to be those moments where I connect to that and I feel very emotional about it. But as far as
that could just be because you're a compassionate woman.
That's
though,
who
right?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that anyway. I could have been there or not been there,
exactly.
and that's what I connect with anyway. So there's always going to be those emotions and that empathy for everybody, and empathy because I was there for everybody that was there in their story. But I feel like my power is back. I feel like it's not taking, my day away. It's not taking my minutes away. It's not taking my moments away thinking about it. And for me, the process was just really digging in right away and allowing myself the time. I'm a homeschool facilitator, teacher, and immediately I reached out to my families and I told them what happened. And they said, don't even think about us. You take your time, you heal. And I allowed myself to do that for 2 weeks. I remember in the beginning, the first couple of days, I wanted to sleep. And when I wanted to sleep, I slept. And when I wanted to cry, I cried. And when I wanted to talk to somebody, I talked to somebody. And I reached out to people. And Lisa and I connected, in those following weeks. And I reached out to people that I knew were there. And how can I support you? And I dug into the community. I wrote a poem. I presented the poem. I've talked about it. I've been here on the radio. So all of that has really helped me and supported me in completing my process and taking the tools that we're talking about on the radio show, the things that you're talking about, the importance of completion. So if it's so important, then I'm going to take this time to do it because I don't want this showing up in my life, 6 months, year, 20 years down the road. I want to complete and move on and start my next project, Yeah.
What I'm in awe of is watching you since, after this whole ordeal happened, who you've become and who you've been choosing to become every single time that we reached out and invited you to be a part of something. You had this look on your face like, I don't know, but I'm just going to keep saying yes to everything. And you just jumped into everything. And to me, from the outside looking in, it just looked like it was a very cathartic process for you. And good for you, because I'm sitting here watching, a little bit at a time. It's like you're just peeling layers off and you're just leaving them behind because you're courageous enough to keep saying, let's just keep going. Let's do this. And you keep stepping up every day and keep, diving in. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. How have you been taking this whole process, Abby, 15 years old?
It still hasn't really set in completely. It's just still feels like surreal. It still didn't happen in my brain. But I'm kind of shy to loud noises, sudden noises. And then I still haven't been sleeping very well because I before everything happened, I could literally just fall asleep whenever I wanted. It was a gift. It was great. But then once we got back, I can sleep if other people are awake, but then once everybody else is asleep, I have to be awake. There has to be somebody on guard, and I've been getting a little bit better with it, but I don't know. It's just weird. And then I've had like one anxiety attack about it, but it's just like come out of nowhere, like nothing even triggered it. So then, and then I like went, I was in school, so I just went and talked to my counselor, and then once I like told him the whole story, I felt better. It's just like, I don't know.
Who are you talking to? Is there anyone that you're sharing these stories with?
Yeah, I have a therapist. Her name is Sally. I can't pronounce her last name, so it's like really long and confusing. But
Sally the listener.
Yeah, and so I talked to her, and then I talked to my school counselor a couple of times. Like I just talked to him today. He called me in just to see how I was doing. And then
How about your mom? Do you guys sit down and do you guys talk about your experiences or what's coming up for you? Or
When we don't, there's certain times where, you know, there'll be like initially there'll be like a something that, like a helicopter circling. You know, we were leaving her therapy session, and there was the sheriff's helicopter circling Walmart, and I mentioned that made me feel uncomfortable. And we'll point out little things like that. And, you know, when she had the anxiety attack at school, you know, she opens up and, you know, will tell me, like, okay, this is what was going on, and this is what I was thinking, and this is how I ended up dealing with it. I missed her phone call. I was taking a shower when she was calling me saying that, you know, she's having an anxiety attack. We do try to live a normal life, but then fit in this chunk of us that we're still trying to figure out.
what is a normal life after you've gone through that? Because I'm like, to me, I would think that the normal life lines would be blurred a little bit. It's almost like this is now just part of my experience, part of my life's journey now, right?
Well, it's sort of like the green blob just moved in, right? So the green blob is there, and that's the experience. What happens, I think, to a lot of people is that we find that a lot of people try to live in their new normal. And they think that that new normal is the way it's supposed to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. We honestly can go back to the way we were before if we walk the steps of completion correctly. You can go back to your the life the way it was before the incident happened, where you're safe to sleep. You absolutely can get there. I think that it's amazing that you said, you know, you shared with her that helicopter is making me uncomfortable, because you're teaching her how to go through the process and how to share her emotions openly. And I commend you for that. That is just so beautiful. I also commend you for letting her have a flip phone, because I know you're a good mama. So that's a sign of a good mama. So that's is how we help our children learn and to walk through the grieving process, is that we go first. We are honest. We tell them as much as we want them to know. I'm seeing this helicopter and it's making me feel uncomfortable.
And not just the grieving process, but all of life. I
Yeah.
think if you just become emotionally honest with everything, with your kids, for one, I found that they yearn for that. They yearn for you to be authentic and honest, and just share that with them, because then they don't have to make up this belief that, oh, my mom is strong. No, I'm not trying to be strong. I want to be authentic. I want to let you know what's really coming up for me. And I think that kind of bonds you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think 100%. I made that mistake when Austin died. I wanted to protect my children from the pain, and so I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't let them see when my heart was broken. And actually, how are they going to learn to go through the process unless they see us go through the process? So I would do it privately and alone, and I would try to be strong for them. So I really commend you for doing that, and keep that up. And if you are having those moments, share them with her.
Yeah.
Because she's going to learn how to walk through this by seeing you do it, for sure. And you're creating the safe place, just like Alex said. You're creating the safe place for her to talk. And if you're just there, a lot of times what I do now is I don't have the radio on in the car, and I just throw something out and then see how the kids are going to respond from it, you know, and just let that be it. And I'll say, hey, my heart was really sad today. I was thinking about Austin, and I just stop there and see what they come up with. If they're ready to talk, they'll talk.
That's what's being called a great facilitator. When you can think of topics to throw out, or things that you might be experiencing, and then sharing them out loud as testers to see if it starts a trend of other people opening up, or creating that space or permission or a dialogue to get everyone engaged. You're just kind of like you're throwing out these little feelers, and when you lock on a feeler you throw out and everyone jumps on it, and then after the ride's over and everyone gets out of the car and they're just kind of feeling like, I feel lighter. to know that you caused that is a good feeling, because, you were mindful enough to kind of throw that out there and see if it's what everybody needed.
And how awesome it is to set that up with your own children.
Mm-hmm.
To set that up with your own children, and you become their safe place. You become the place that they're going to go to first. You become that first phone call. My mom really understands. My dad really understands. And I can say whatever I need to say.
And I think we're all waiting for someone else to be the first one to kind of out themselves. It's almost like, I'm feeling a little nervous with all these people, and then someone goes, I'm feeling like that too. We just need one person to be courageous enough to say it out loud, right? I want to tell on myself right now, and then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, me too, me three. And then you guys want to get out of here? Yeah, let's go. Or, you know what I mean? But if not, if everyone stays quiet, then we're just sitting there forcing ourselves to go through this suffering when that's not really what's needed or what's necessary. I want you to talk a little bit, Lisa, about how you're contributing back. And earlier you were talking about, now you're kind of moving forward and you're focused on helping people. Tell us a little bit about that, and how can we help support those people that you're supporting?
There's another survivor. He goes by the name of, on Facebook, he was Love Wins. His name is D. He was a freelance photographer, and he's working through the healing process just like us. And he threw out the idea, hey, how about a toy drive? And we were playing with this idea, and we decided, well, not just toys. Let's make it a holiday drive. Let's personally reach out to survivors, the 58 that we lost, reach out to their families, reach out to those who are injured, see what we can do for them during this holiday season. Our goal is to raise, if they need clothing for their children or toys for Christmas, or to raise money. There's one family, a gentleman is going to be coming home December 8th in a wheelchair. He's now paraplegic from this, and they have to figure out his living situation now. Either his home needs to be completely renovated to fit the wheelchair, or they need to move. So we need to raise funds. The family doesn't have it, so we want to raise fund. And I'm going to talk with the sister this weekend and throw around ideas. I've never met them before, but we're just reaching out and saying, what can we do? Little things like that. It could be simple. There's another family, just sending flowers to the caregivers that haven't left the side of someone who's critically injured for 37 days. They're still in the hospital. They're still being treated, and try to put a smile on people's faces and let them know, all of us survivors know that we're not alone and that we're thinking of you, and we want to do as much as we can to make the holiday season, at least starting there, just a little easier.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about that contribution. You're listening to a special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas, right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
There are many memorable restaurants in Santa Clarita, but 3 words stand out from the crowd. Mom can cook.
Mamá puede cocinar.
Mom can cook the best Thai food on this side of the planet.
Mama fait la cuisine.
No matter what language you use, Mom Can Cook says it all. Thai food at its finest, all your favorite dishes, and Mom's very own original specialties. Experience it on Soledad by the Canyon Country Post Office.
Mama料理が上手ですよ.
Mom Can Cook.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
First impressions say it all. Choosing the right makeup is critical to that first impression and keeping your skin looking young and healthy. That's why Santa Clarita's Jen Gerard created Gerard Cosmetics. Inspired by women of all ages who gravitate toward classic and timeless beauty with a modern twist, Gerard Cosmetics. Superb quality and pigmentation, along with lip glosses and lipsticks in colors for everyone. The internationally acclaimed Gerard Cosmetics. Discover your new look at gerardcosmetics.com.
KHTS.
Welcome back to this special broadcast of Healing from Las Vegas, right here in your hometown station, KHTS. My name is Alex Urbina. I'm hanging out with Sharon Brubaker and Erin Acquaviva. We're also have in studio Lisa Ochoa and Abby. And you guys were courageously sharing your stories. I appreciate you guys for being here and being so emotionally honest. And I want to talk a little bit more before we leave about the contribution that you're going to support moving forward for the holidays. But before we do that, I wanted to throw this out there. Does it feel like when you go through some kind of a tragic event, and I've experienced it sometimes when I have a loss of a loved one, and maybe we're in mourning or at the funeral, sometimes I have a moment or I'll get a glimpse of looking at the rest of the world and feeling like the world's just moved on without you. Like they're just, you see them running and playing and laughing, and families are just doing what they're doing. And sometimes I can feel like I'm stuck or I'm on pause mode, going through whatever cathartic experience I need to go through. Does it feel like that with you guys?
I definitely had moments of that, especially with social media and everything. You see what's going on in everybody's life on the day-to-day, and moments of people just, living their life as if nothing happened, and this big thing happened to me or to 22,000 people that we're now connected to, right? And then there's this feeling of maybe separation of like a us and them. We went through this. I've had people avoid me because maybe they don't know what to say, or their fear, or feeling like they have nothing to offer, when all we really want is a hug, or just, I'm so glad you're here, or a hi, if that's it. And so that feeling of separation, that is the ones that went through it and the ones that didn't. I've definitely experienced a bit of that. And
yeah, I guess sometimes it could feel like the rest of the world is just on doing what's next. And for those of us, or for those of you that have experienced that, it's kind of like, hey, we're still here, we're still in it. And I can see how you can easily see that, people have moved on.
I definitely agree with you, and I think social media makes it even more prevalent in our minds that people have really moved on, because look at where we are today. We've had 2 other shootings, right? Yeah. Even just this weekend. And literally, I've watched the news quite often. I haven't really heard a lot about Las Vegas. They're comparing a lot, but you haven't heard a lot about Las Vegas. You even haven't even heard a lot about New York. I mean, we've moved on to Texas. And we have to remember, as humankind, that people died. People are hurt. There's families that are hurting. And there's still a lot of broken hearts out there. We just have to remember that. Also, I think people don't speak to us when they know we're grieving because they don't know what to say. You're correct. But also, they don't want to bring up the emotion. They don't want to be the one that makes us cry. They are uncomfortable with that emotion. And so they don't want to see you cry, so they avoid and they don't say, or they just don't know what to say. Or third, they say something totally ridiculous. And you're like, are you kidding me right now? Did that just come out of your mouth? And it's so sad. But unfortunately, people don't know what to say, and so sometimes they say the wrong thing. Grievers need to be listened to. They need to be heard with respect. They simply need a heart with ears. We all have the tools. We just need to listen to them and just have a heart.
I love that. And for you guys?
I think the first week, yes, for sure. Like I said, I was walked around trying to figure out, how do I feel? I wasn't having anxiety attacks. I wasn't fearful. I felt like I was doing good, but I did feel removed. But then for me, I ended up getting really sick, and I just was trying to get back to having a normal life. But I was so sick for 3 weeks, and then as soon as I got well, my son was sick for 2 weeks with a fever that wouldn't go away. So I've just been living pretty much in a cocoon the last 5 weeks. I've been taken off of work until the beginning of December, so I don't know what it is like to get back to a normal life. Yeah, I don't.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm
Yes.
glad that you accepted the invitation or reached out and or all the above. But I'm glad that you're here and you're sharing your story. And I want to thank both of you guys for sharing that.
I think with me, like, going back to school, because there's a lot of people that, almost everybody, like, especially in my grade and, like, around the school, like, knew that I was there. But a lot of them won't come up and ask me myself. Like, people that, like, I didn't even talk to before, like, they'll just go up to, like, my friends and be like, oh, my God, like, is Abby okay? And then, like, or people that do come up to me, like, they'll kind of, like, hint towards it, like, they want to know what happened, and I'm fine talking about it. So I'm just like, do you want me to tell you? And then so, like, they're like, oh, my God, like, only if you feel comfortable. But then there's other people that, like you said, just say, like, the worst thing possible, and they just say, like, stupid stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
When Sharon was talking about that, I saw your face. Like, you had that look like, yeah, they can say stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, some people, like, they just say things that, do you hear yourself when you talk? Like, I don't know. It's just like,
I think we're all learning how to be compassionate. Right. We're all learning the process of that. Sometimes silence is powerful. We're learning that sometimes words aren't comforting. Sometimes just being that loving space or that smile or just the hand on the shoulder. Yeah. That we're compassionate and loving beings, and if we just tap into that, that's good enough. So let's we got 1 more minute. Let's share a little bit more about how to get a hold of you if we want to contribute to that that event that you want to have for the holidays.
Yes, I guess by email would probably be the best way. Just share that.
And what's your email address?
My email is lisajoy, so LISAJOY 02@gmail.com. Right now, we're looking for monetary donations. We're putting together a list of what families are in need for. Gift cards, like I said, there's quite a few families that have not been able to leave the hospital yet, and so family members are staying in hotel rooms or hospital rooms, and they're eating out a lot. So just little things like that. I plan on having some donation bins. Erin is going to get one together at SCVI. And we also have getting a survivor gathering together on December 3rd at Reyes Winery, and I plan on having donations brought for that as well.
All right. And or if you're a family and you want to support or reach out or need support, reach out to you. Thank you, ladies, so much. It's been an honor and a privilege. I appreciate you guys taking the time. You've been listening to a special broadcast called Healing from Las Vegas right here in your hometown station, KHTS.